chosen in Jesus to be holy and to be blameless. In whose sight? In whose view? God's view. Are you following me on this? Because I'm bringing this up because most of us, we come into places like this, into churches, into spiritual places to get our lives together, not to lose a marriage, not to whatever. And if you're here for that reason, it's legit, man, and I'm glad you're here. But here's the bottom line. Jesus wasn't chosen, did not get chosen by God so you can have a better life or accomplish American dream. Jesus got chosen for you to be like Jesus, which means holy. You see the difference? Because even you choosing God is not so you can avoid hell. You choosing God is for you to live holy and blameless, which means blameless is not without sin. Blameless implies that you are thriving, hungry, developing, building a desire for the character of God. That you will never settle just to avoid conflict, just to avoid tragedy. I will even argue this. Blameless and holy means that now tragedy and suffering are a part of building your character like Jesus. So if you're in this place complaining why is life so hard, and, it's probably because you don't care about holiness. And I'm with you. Some of you are going through a very difficult situation. And my heart goes out to you. But I'm just going to tell you right now. Most of us, the difficulties that we're facing is exactly because we disregarded the Holy One. It's because we thought that we can get a loophole into the system and get it our way still. So here's why you have to understand this. The goal of predestination, the goal of Him choosing Jesus to choose you is not for VIP. What's the goal? Christ likeness. So I'm just going to set it up right now. And again, I hope you know what it is because I want to say something very controversial. If you are not living like Jesus, more than likely you're not saved. That's just the reality. And living like Jesus is not perfection. It's simply striving for holiness, which holiness is not the absence of sin. Please listen to me. Holiness is not the absence of sin. Holiness is the pursuit of the character of Jesus Christ. And if you don't know Jesus, how can you pursue His character? Here we go. Verse 5. It is in love. It is in the context of love that this God predestined or chose you before the creation of the world. We just said that. And He chose you not because you were going to be born one day. He didn't choose you because He knew you were going to say yes. No, listen. He chose you because He chose the Son. And if He chooses Jesus, anybody who puts their faith in Jesus can come to Him. I'm repeating myself a lot, but I just feel the way to get this point across. Listen to this. He chose you. He predestined you. And here's where we were, oh my gosh. Listen to the first fill in the blank. Corporate experience. What does that mean? The Bible doesn't say that He predestined singular you. He predestined you all. Plural. Why? Because I believe, another controversial statement, I don't believe Jesus died for you. I think Jesus died for humanity. You just happen to be a human being. Why am I saying this? Because it's always the individualism. That as long as I read my Bible and I pray, that's all that I need. Have you heard that before? I don't need a church. Bunch of hypocrites. Join the club, Bubba. Come on. Just join us. That's who we are. Broken bastards. Right? But this concept that it's just me and God. It's me just praying to God. No, it doesn't work like that because I'm just going to tell you right now. Most marriage counseling is nothing else but bringing questions to you. Bringing views of you that if you have considered those at the very beginning of the marriage, you wouldn't be in this mess. Think about it. If you will just have sought the counsel, not counselors, not pastors, just your friends, assuming you have healthy friends, healthy environments. If you're, instead of just Facebook with your girlfriends, whatever, if you seek the counsel of others, I promise you, the mess that you're in right now in your marriage could have been solved a long time ago if you would just allow someone to speak into your life. But God forbid. Because this is America. It's my life. It's nobody's business, right? Nobody tells me how to raise my children. So listen to this. He predestined us for what's the purpose? To be adopted. Now, here's where it gets crazy. In the context of community, this is where you're reminded that the closer, please listen, The closer you walk with this God who predestined Jesus to predestine you, who chose the Son to choose many sons, you and I, and daughters, the closer you walk, the more you realize that you are not a child of God. In other words, what you cannot do is sit in this place and assume that just because you think, because you believe in God, that makes you a child of God. See, children of God always begin this relationship of child and father, brother to brother. Jesus is our brother, God is our Father. This relationship always begins by understanding that before I can be adopted, I have to be an enemy of God. What does that mean? 3 children, 3 kids in my marriage, those are the only 3 people in the entire world, 7 billion people, that among all of them, there's only 3 people that I cannot adopt, and those are my kids, because they're already my kids. What does that imply? That implies that for you to become a child of God, you have to first understand that you are not. Now, if you are, because some of you have become Christians already, if you are, let's get our act together. Let's become symbols of the gospel of Jesus Christ, instead of promoting our own gospel, our own kingdom. So this metaphor of adoption is the metaphor that we understand in this time in history. Paul is writing into a culture, Roman culture, that parents can literally, a father can literally take away the inheritance from a son. A father had the ability to kill a son, but the father could never legally take the inheritance from an adopted child. Never take the life of an adopted child. What's the point? The point is that security, this is why you're writing this down. The metaphor for salvation is the security in mind. Once you become a child adopted, nothing can separate you from that love. You know why? Because once you become a child of God, an evidence, a result of you being a child of God, you stay away from performance. Performance. Instead of you thinking that you have to perform. Because now you're based on the fact that God chose Jesus to choose you. So whose performance are you basing your life on? Jesus Christ. So at the end of the day, what's this? At the end of the day, you are saved by works. The works of Jesus. Not your works. See, when you're not a child of God, you're going to try to please God. You're going to try not to mess up. And now some of you right now need to hear this message, because some of you have done some things that they really need to be confessed before the Lord, and you rather just try to please God by just checking and I went to church. Now I'm not cheating on my wife. Now I'm not. See, you're basing things on the things that you don't do, and you feel really good, if you're honest, you feel really good when somebody else messes up. Because that makes you feel better. Like really bad is my cousin. Man, those guys are really messed up. I mean, I know that we're messed up, but we're not that messed up. You know what I'm saying? It like, really? Everything is based on the performance of Jesus Christ, to the point that, listen to this, He has adopted us to sonship through Jesus Christ, and here's where it gets just mind-blowing. Everything happens in accordance to whose pleasure? God's pleasure. And everything is for the sake of His will. So here's where, I wish, and the verse will say, if you recognize that you were predestined, if you recognize that you are adopted, if you recognize that everything's about Jesus, now everything is according to what you need. So, what do you need? A better marriage, better finances. See, it's not even, the byproduct goes back to how it all began. Everything is about the pleasure of God. It's not even your pleasure. Now, why is that? Come on, look at me. Why is that? Here's a statement that you gotta either tweet it, write it down, text it to somebody. Because nobody is for your pleasure. Watch this. If God gets pleased, you find fulfillment. If God's will is done, you find the overflowing of joy. See, somebody's not listening to this one. You're not listening to what I'm saying. Because most of us, what we do, we pursue our happiness. We pursue relationships, trying to find the one that is going to help us to be whatever. We pursue jobs. We pursue our children for them to be better. And I'm just telling you, man, you can continue to pursue those things, and it's legit. But all that I'm saying is, nobody is for your joy than God. So if God gets His pleasure, if God gets His way, you're in good hands. You are in a great future. regardless of what happens. And how many of you like to have that certainty? Because I don't know about you, but those elections that just happened, I feel like mercy. Our government? Are you going to trust our government? Are you going to trust our government? Are you going to trust our economy? Let me put it this way. Are you going to trust you? Have you talked to your wife? Have you talked to your children? Are you going to trust you? Are you really that good? Because if you are, I got to talk to you after this. And I actually have some church members that I got to deal with them. I need some help. I'm just telling you right now, seriously. Everything is about the pleasure of God. So here's my question to you. Are you pleasing God? Second question, that is getting tougher. Do you know what pleases God? And that's a question of conviction for many of us. Because Paul takes us into verse 6. For now, we have to just come to the conclusion and the understanding that it is to the praise of His glorious grace, which this grace has been freely given to us in the one. So I just don't know how to close our service in a better way or a better relevant statement than this. Moses, when he was in the mountain and he's receiving those commandments from God, he asked the Lord and says, show me your, what is it? Show me your glory. And the response from God was, Moses, if I show you my glory, you're going to die. Because for God to reveal His glory, for God to reveal His pleasure, for God to reveal His will, He can only give it to us through Jesus Christ. You can never know what pleases God. You can never know what is the will of God. You can never see the glory of God unless you see Jesus Christ. And the reason is because God is so holy. He is so powerful. He is God that you cannot contain God. So the moment that you walk away from a relationship with God, your heart never stops desiring the will of God. You know in your heart that you were created for something bigger than this, for something deeper than this. You are in this place because you know that the pleasures you have experienced in this world, they are limited. And some of you are tired of them. You know in your heart that you need God. The problem is not that you need God. The problem is that the glory of God, the grace of glory has been given to the Son, so the Son presents Himself in a way that we can handle God and we can trust God. Because if you take away the Son, you will be consumed by the presence of God. So if you are here and you are questioning the existence of God, you are a fool. Because what you're saying is this: I don't need Jesus. I don't need faith. I can just handle God. Give it to me. Who are you? Do you really exist? See, that's an idiot in his mind. Because nobody can handle the presence of God. God revealed His glory 2,000 years ago through a manger. And He dwelt among us through Emmanuel, God with us. And He walked in this earth to model and to restore what happened in Genesis 3 and what was lost because of rebellion. And through Genesis 3, and then the restoration of that, and the movement of Jesus Christ through broken individuals like the apostles, began this restoration and this filtration that the glory of God, listen to the words of this man, the glory of God has freely given to each and every one of us. So please listen to me as we pray. You do not need a better marriage. You need the glory of God. You don't need a better country. You need the glory of God. You don't need to undo what you have done. It's called the past. You cannot undo what you've done. You need the glory of God. You don't need simply a better moral generation of young people. We need the glory of God. Something happens with God. You disregarded the glory of God. You trusted yourselves. You killed the glory of God. But today, we can come freely and say, Jesus, forgive me. Jesus, restore your glory upon me. So I'm just going to answer this question. How hungry are you for the glory of God? Stop thinking that you need a better marriage. Stop thinking that you need a better job. That you just need a better life. You don't need a better life. So in the first place, it's not even yours. You need the glory of God. Pray with me. Pray with me. Pray with me. Lord Jesus, we have nothing else to show. We have nothing else to give. We have nothing else to bring before you. Just the fact that we need your glory. Oh, how much we need your glory. How much we have just disregarded your glory. We don't get another service. We don't get another sermon. We do not need another church. We need glory. We need your glory. We need your glory. No one is looking around. You are a place in your life where you need the glory of God. I need you to get your feet right now. That's all I'm going to ask you. Just stand where you are. No one is looking. No one is asking. If you're in this place and you hunger for the glory of God, if you're in this place and you feel the conviction that maybe you have tried to manipulate what the glory of God produces. See, the glory of God produces a much better marriage. Because the glory of God is not going to change your spouse, it's going to change you. So just get on your feet right now. Right where you are. That's all that I need you. I need you to show that urgency, that just a determination that you, regardless where you stand in your faith, I don't care whether you've been a Christian for a long time. I don't care whether I just don't care where you are. I care about the glory of God. And if you're in this place and you're still thinking about the problems you have and the marriage you have and the children you have or the